so here's where I get dressed. Got a lot of nice shoes, but I got a bunch of them on top of each other. So, you can see it's kind of a mess down here. I'm going to try and see if I can build a shoe rack out of some trees I cut down. Alright, so I'm still trying to formulate in my head how I'm going to make this, but the general idea is probably going to be 2 pieces of wood on the side, and then 4 long pieces that go in between that'll hold the shoes. So you'll have 2 of those pieces that are one level and 2 of those pieces that are the other level. I just randomly found these old pieces of white oak, actually, from the base of a little bit of a bigger tree. I'm thinking these would make nice side pieces here. Check out what I just found in my front yard. This is actually a nice long thin pine tree branch that came down, and the wood doesn't look too bad. Of course, right here at the very edge it looks a little rotted. I'm going to cut into it with the chainsaw and see what it looks like on the inside. Alright, so I just cut it to check and see the quality of the wood, and I'll tell you what, it does not look like bad wood at all in the middle. I know there's some rotted spots on this piece, but I'm going to cut 4 pieces about, somewhere between 3.5 and 4 feet. Let's go with 44 inches. I'm going to mark them off. Okay, so here we have the 4 pieces of wood that are going to be used as a support, basically what the shoes sit on. They're going to have to be a good deal thinner than this, so I'm going to clean them up, basically take the bark off of them, and then I'm going to grind them down with an angle grinder, eventually sand them, etc. I'll show you that in a sec. Alright, so here's the next step. Basically I'm just cleaning up the wood a little bit. I find a hatchet works real nice. I'm not going to take off these knobs, I'll take care of these with the chainsaw. But this is just kind of an initial thing to save the angle grinder some work. Alright, so now you can see it kind of starting to take shape a little bit. Man, windy day. Beautiful day for November, though. So the next step is to make these guys thinner. Now, we could just keep using this thing and really try to hack away at it, and it'll work after time, but I've learned that's really hard work and it stinks. I've discovered this amazing tool. It's called an angle grinder, if you've never used one before. I think they use this on metal and stuff most often, but I've found a couple attachments for it. This is 40 grit. You can see it's basically the 40 grit sandpaper, and it's kind of ribbed or whatever you want to call it. And when you use this on wood, it really takes down the wood. It's kind of like sanding on steroids. So even though it's warm outside, that's why I'm wearing all this stuff right now. I even closed the garage door and I paid attention to which direction the wind was coming, because I'm gonna, hopefully have all the sawdust go downwind from me. Alright, let me show you how this thing works. And by the way, a little bit of a dangerous tool. You really got to be at least decently strong to use it, and I would say one of the more important things is when you get tired, feel your arms getting tired, just take a break, because you don't want to lose control of this thing. It can kind of whip back. I mean, using it on the pine like this, the softwood, it's going to be a little easier, but especially with hardwood and I would assume metal too. Alright, here we go. After you've got this all kind of angle grinded down, is to make the ends a little bit smaller, and the way that I do that is I just take a hatchet, basically, just kind of do this kind of thing, and I already did them all, so I'll just kind of like demonstrate what I normally do on another piece. Basically that kind of thing, until you get them all kind of whittled down. So here's all 4 pieces. Next step is to sand them. So first I'm going to sand them with 60 grit. basically just kind of take a piece of sandpaper and just do this type of deal. Actually, if I fold it over, it'll work a little better. There we go. So I'm going to do this with 60 grit and then 150 grit. Alright, so the next step is to take these end pieces and I'm just going to sand them the same way I sanded those other things, except I'm going to use a rotary sander here. Same thing, 60 grit and then 150 grit. Super easy. The next step is to drill our holes. You can see I already drilled one. So I'm just eyeballing everything. I'm thinking 2 down here, and then 2 somewhere up in this range. And you can see I've got them stacked on top of each other like this, all nice and lined up, so that after I drill the hole through one of them, the hole will at least start on the other one, and I can get them all in the exact same spot so that it should line up well. So the thing I'm using to drill these holes, these, gosh, I can't remember what they're called, Forstner bits. Yeah, a friend of mine recommended these to me. I'm going with about 1.5 inches here. And this is pretty hard work, especially with the oak. It takes a while to drill one of these. I really wish I had There you go, panel number 1 done. That is hard work, by the way, drilling those holes. Anyway, so next step, I'm going to basically line these guys up. Try to make them as close as possible, nice and flush. And then I'll come in here with a pen and I'll draw little circles down here, which I already did. So here's how we're going to make things fit. Basically, I'm going to stick these sticks into the hole and use a mallet or a hatchet or whatever the heck you have around it. Just kind of bat them down like that. Now, eventually, I'm just showing you how to do this. I'm going to do it with wood glue, and then I'm eventually going to put some screws in the side, I think, too. But this is kind of the idea. Pretty simple, really. Alright, so here's the almost finished product. I'd say it turned out. The last step now is going to be to stain and poly this thing. I'm going with the old summer oak. Just using one of these guys, one of these cheapos. And that's that. Alright, so here she is after 1 coat of stain, which I'm only going to use 1. I put a decently thick coat on it, and I was just kind of wiping it with a paper towel as I go. But I'll give it a quick little sand after this, and then a quick layer of poly, and that'll be it. Super rustic.